Good Friday afternoon, evening, or
Hey,
morning where
hey.
Victor is. It feels like morning to you, doesn't it?
It feels like, I don't know. I don't know. I just arrived.
Let's listen to the nice, warm, sultry tones of Victor's voice. Did you even sleep last night?
I did a few hours. I did.
Okay. I can tell you're tired. I can hear it in
I
your
am. I
voice.
am. I am.
So you may have just missed what Victor said. He just literally got back into the office. Like,
Yes, exactly. Like
literally 12 minutes ago.
something like that. Exactly. And the Zengin mentions in the comment, yeah, I was in Mannheim. He wasn't there last week.
Correct. He was there. Uh, and again, Javad, thanks for being here. It's been harder to attend live. It's actually good because we haven't been here live in 3 weeks. So if you're just here
Exactly.
now, it's great.
It's my fault. I'll give you that.
Was this one all your fault this time? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Oh, that's right,
Was
because you
really
had
good.
KubeCon and something else before. Oh, no.
And something else.
But guess
I don't
what?
know anymore.
It's time for the holidays. Holidays are among us. Among us? Upon us?
Upon us, I
Among
guess.
Us. Isn't that a video game?
That's a video game.
Okay. Hi, by the way. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor. And we're the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox that comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern. And on Fridays, while we're here, yes, I think we'll be around for a while. We'll talk about that later. We try to do a live show just talking about the news of the week and whatever else may have happened over the past time. Now, we had 3 weeks of content to pull together. Guess what? Even though there was a
What?
KubeCon in the middle of this, there was no news out of KubeCon from my perspective, other than just people talking about AI. But who cares,
AI
right? It's,
and platform engineering kind of the second
yeah.
place, I think.
But just looking at the fallout from that, I didn't see a whole lot.
No, I think that, and I think that you will not be seeing a lot in future KubeCons either. I think that we reached the level. I mean, of course, there will always be exceptions, right? But we reach certain level of maturity on the, let's say, the layer directly above Kubernetes. No new ideas are coming, and now we're probably in consolidation phase. That's my guess, where we are trying to figure out, okay, within this category, which is the one that we should be using, and drop everybody else, and then go, from category to category of that layer. And once we figure it out, once we find the winners, then probably we will go to the next layer. I mean, it's not that like black and white, but more like that than before.
So that was KubeCon. So what's going to happen at KubeCon in Paris?
More AI.
More of the same? More AI.
More
Okay.
AI, of course.
Okay.
AI, everybody will be having their version of CURL.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks to everybody that nominated us for DevOps Dozen, we are finalists in 3 categories. I'm saying we because I'm just riding on Victor's coattails. So if you go to DevOps Dozen, go to Vote Now. The Vote Now is much simpler than what the nomination process was. It looks like it's literally just a single SurveyMonkey form. So that means everything's here. So we are nominated. We, again, sort of the global we.
Not
Victor,
royal we.
not the royal we. So again, for best video series, DevOps Toolkit, we're not telling you how to vote. But if you would be so inclined, we would appreciate your vote. Okay, DevOps Toolkit. Number 4 for the podcast, DevOps Paradox. And then down at 6, Victor is down at the bottom. And
Yeah.
we're trying to go for a repeat on that one, especially. It's what we want. There, I will say that. I'm going to go ahead and throw in another quick item here that's in open source.
Oh, Jenkins is there. Cool.
Jenkins is there for the most innovative DevOps open source project. So, okay, leave it all aside. You know where I stand on Jenkins. It's almost 19 years old. And it's still one of the most highly used engines out there. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to try to bias it any more than that. But as part of the Jenkins community, I was shocked and pleasantly surprised that we got that nomination. Although it was cool.
Very cool.
That was just me. Another one here, though, that I wanted to, I have to vote for Jenkins, but I looked at this at Galasa. It's an open mainframe project. And I was like, that would just be worth voting for. Because, because that's even older than Jenkins. Right?
You didn't get the memo? Mainframes are coming back big time.
Yeah, it's called Kubernetes. Right? It is. By the time you do chargebacks, it's no different than what we were doing with mainframes. And then there were lots of other. So not only are the community things, so the community's at the top, scroll halfway down-ish, and you'll get to the tools and services. These are where people paid to be placed on this list. So community is all nominations, nobody paid to get there. Tools and services, people paid to be on that list. Right? And that's not a surprise. That was how it was published. So lots of things all in that list. But yes, it is a long thing. You don't have to vote for every category. Vote for all hours. But again, do that. And then I think I meant to scroll down and check this earlier. So there's 24 categories. And then you put in your first name, your last name, your email address, and your company. That's it. So 25...
First name, last name, fake email address, and Acme company.
Acme Corp, yeah.
Acme Corp.
So 24 radio buttons and 4 fields. Please, and thank you. Mm-hmm. And fair warning, we are going to start doing some more social media. So if you are still on social media, we're going to be rotating out some stuff. I got to think through that process this week. And then it may start this week. Since it's a big holiday week in the U.S., I don't know if I'll start it next week or not. It may start the 1st of December. We'll see. Voting is open through end of December, and then they announce the winners on January 18th. Victor, do you have your prize from last year right there? Is it still in arm's reach? Okay, it's not in arm's reach. We're trying to win that one again. Oh, this is pretty good. Ask for an address for the nominee. 221B Baker Street.
Yeah, that's Sherlock Holmes' address.
That's correct.
There you
DevOps
go.
Toolkit Go.
Very
That's
cool.
it. Yeah. We should do that, or we could do anyway. It's open, so if you haven't filled it out. Oh, and also let's see, because I do want to play by the rules. I'm a rules stickler on this. One person, one vote. Don't try to stuff the ballot box, please. As much as we want to win, play by the rules. Follow the rules. One vote per IP address. Now, what the rules don't say, and we're not stuffing it, my wife will vote for me, but I'll have her do it on her phone, not on Wi-Fi. Whatever. Maybe not. I won't do that, actually. But anyway, the key part here, you do not have to vote in every category, but we hope you will. So if you look at this and it's like, I don't know, that's fine. Move on. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about on this? We'll remind people again as we go through. We'll just keep reminding. Again, a couple of podcasts because we had Humanitec on, Caspar from there. The guy was very interesting. Prophecy Labs, we had Anton on, and then we had Whitney on last week this week actually for KubeCon review, because I guess we can't do a KubeCon review anymore. Okay. If you haven't listened to this one yet, we all know Victor goes to conferences to stay in the hallway.
Yes.
And now that has rubbed off on Whitney, except for the session that she actually that she was.
Yeah, I'm a bad influence. I know. We'll next time. Engin needs to stay a day longer than he usually stays in KubeCon, because he left that night, the night before.
How was Chicago? We actually didn't talk about that. How was the weather? Because we were concerned about the weather.
Weather was great compared to what my expectations were. I expected hell on earth. It was acceptable.
Okay.
Food was great. I really liked pastrami sandwich and things like that. But then I got to that deep dish pizza. That was terrible. Not a mistake. You need to do it once, but never again.
But just once. Just once.
Only once. Yes. Only once.
And I noticed. Oh, go ahead.
Go.
No, I was thinking about. So you're going to be in Paris for the EU one in March, April. We can't keep track of the dates. By the way, I did see that closing submissions for EU is November 26th, I believe. If you wanted to be it.
Something
sounds
like
right.
that. It's
Yeah.
it's closing not long from now.
Right. So if you're wanting to submit for KubeCon EU, you need to do that sooner than later.
Yeah.
But then I saw next US is in Salt Lake City.
Exactly. I'm very excited about that one.
That'll be fun.
Oh, that's really fun. I mean, I'm excited because I've never been in Salt Lake City. I want to go there.
Realizes it. Okay, we're talking about it potentially being cold in Chicago. If you actually get winter weather in Salt Lake, it's going to be pleasant. Do you want to know
Okay.
why? Here's the reason
Why?
why. 6 inches of snow in Chicago is typically much worse than six inches of snow in Salt Lake. Sort of. It's sort of the same thing. They're both on lakes,
Okay.
right?
But
So
they
there's
don't have that terrible wind, I guess.
you don't get that. So like when in Chicago, you're getting those northern winds directly out of Canada, whereas Salt Lake, it's not the same thing. So it should be fun. That's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. That's a year away, but you're already
Yeah.
planning for it. So okay, that's good. By the way, we have Whitney coming up on an episode in December that I haven't started editing yet. Her
Nice.
story is very interesting. Her story just
Very different than what we normally do, I guess.
everybody, yeah. So that will actually be the last guest episode of the year. It'll be the week her episode comes out the week before the week of Christmas. So that'll be that. Okay. Podcast Wednesdays, 6 a.m. Eastern. And thankfully we're all on normal time now. It was only 1 week overlap this year. Or 1 week out of sync. Okay. Not much news. Literally, not much news. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, but I didn't want to really call it out. So I've got a lot of tool things for this week. One announcement was from Charm. The next generation of the command line.
Okay. I'm now very curious.
They raised a $6 million Series A.
Okay. For a command, for that tool, no, probably as a company, right?
As a company. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But why command line? Why open source? Glowing glamour? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So anyway, they did a round of, they did a raise.
Very cool.
I mean, I still need to learn Go in order to use these frameworks.
No, I mean, some of them work from shell.
Well, that's true. You're correct. And then they also have just tools like VCR, which I still like VCR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But terminal, new terminal, I assume that's what they mean by command line. If that's, Is it a terminal or?
No. They're just talking about. How they're trying to make command line cool, right? It's,
Nice. No, I thought that they would release a new terminal. That's something I would like to see.
why? Tell me more. Why do you want that? Tell me more.
Mostly because I don't like iTerm, and I use the one in Visual Studio Code, and it's a terminal from 30 years ago, nothing really special. And I just assume that when something haven't changed for a long time, then change is welcome without knowing what that change should be, right?
Yep. So anyway, they've got a platform coming. I'm trying to remember, what was Gum? What does Gum do? Do you remember?
Anymore. I don't remember.
OT. I don't remember. But VHS I remember. Create terminal gifs of code. That's easy. Okay. So, congrats to everybody at Charm.
Very cool.
We probably should get them on at some point.
We should invite them. Yes, I mean it's such a strange company with. I have a feeling that that's one of the few companies that have products that I use relatively frequently, and yet I still don't understand what they're trying to do in a way. Kind of random nice tools that I understand, but kind of okay. You just raised money. What's the master plan behind all that, if it exists?
Maybe there isn't a master plan.
Maybe there isn't. No, there is always, because
Yeah.
you need to present the plan to VCs. That I can tell you in advance.
Let's see, the mod chip. See, even they're into AI. Okay, they just went down just a little bit. Sadness has arose. Bubble tea, lip gloss, gum. Where the heck is gum? Gum is a tool for. Oh, gum is the shell scripts thing. Okay, that's right. Read Markdown on the CLI. Okay, I don't want to read Markdown on the CLI. I'm sorry.
No.
That's not necessary. Thank you, but no, thank you.
No, but then, kind of the thing with their tools is that they connect with each other. So I have that silly CLI that I build, that I use when I publish videos, right? And among other things is that it does use the Markdown thingy.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about your tool. I want to do would you be open to doing a session? We'll probably just do it as a podcast. We'll do it as a video podcast and walk people through how you're doing that.
Sure.
Just to see, because it sounds like you got a lot of moving parts in it.
Yeah, kind of.
Not a ton, but enough.
To where it's CLI that connects to this API to do this, and then sends emails and goes to YouTube to upload videos and things like that. No, it's not a code that I'm kind of proud of. Oh, this is something never done before. It's just a collection of silly things that help me.
But it's functional, and that's
yeah.
Things like that are going to serve you better than AI will in the long run, even though you're using AI inside of it. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll talk more. We'll do something on that. I'm going to save that one for later. Cloud Run, now GA for doing sidecars.
Nice.
Boy, okay, here's the bad thing. Look at me right now and look at me now, right? It's like, as soon as I go there, it's all white and they don't have a dark.
I think that we should boycott all the companies that have sites without dark mode.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a dark mode on my website, so that's fine. Doesn't matter. Anyway, sidecars and GCR. Why would you use something besides GCR? I know why. But
exactly.
if you could just re-architect your app just to use GCR, why would you not do that?
GCR Azure Container Apps, if you have preference for one vendor or another.
Yeah. Is ACI doing sidecars too?
ACI, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. I'm not,
I'm not a big on sidecars, but it gives you options. That's what I'm saying. It's
exactly.
Now.
That's the nice part. But then there is a danger, right? Kind of, you make something that is relatively simple from the user perspective, and that's the main value, right? And then you start expanding it, and then that has a tendency to become another monster, right? And there is nothing wrong with that because people obviously need it. But then you say, okay, so now if I liked it because it was this, and now is this, and then I start asking, should I use it, and should I go back to Kubernetes for those use cases, right?
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, new feature, GA. Well, it's not new, but it's GA'd. That's what matters. Let me go in here. Kieran says, it was hard to spot Victor. How many people were at KubeCon? I meant to ask you that the other day, and I forgot.
I think 8 to 9K.
Okay, so not huge.
It wasn't huge.
It was big.
It wasn't. Yeah,
big,
I mean,
but not
it's
huge.
not a meetup, of course, but
Yeah.
it wasn't kind of massive. I don't think that we reached pre-COVID sizes.
Yeah. Roman, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Cool avatar, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. This was the one that came out this week from Stacklog. We've talked with some people from ChainGuard. That episode is coming out, I think, in 2 weeks. And Minder and Trusty are built on top of SigStore, which is standalone open source project, but ChainGuard's behind a lot of it. Tools to help developers in open source communities, which is what caught my eye, build safer software. And so now you've got Minder, which now gives you a verifiable chain of trust back to the source code. Tamper-proof, right? So that's Minder, an open source platform that helps teams automate and enforce security practices like artifact signing and verification consistently across multiple repos. It's that last phrase, across multiple repos, is the key part there. It's like, it's easy to do artifact signing and verification, not across multiple repos easily or consistently.
Yeah.
And then Trusty, I haven't dug into this one as much. So Trusty is a free-to-use service that helps developers make much safer dependency choices. Okay, so Trusty uses SigStore to show proof of a package origin and verify that our data maps back to the right. Okay, that's reasonable.
Nice. Oh yeah.
So that's Minder, and by the way, cool logo, cool
Yeah.
logo alert, and then Trusty is also cool. Okay. And this was from, help me, Stacklock. Now, we're going to do this live because I didn't think about it. Let's see. We'll go to Minder because that's what I care about right now. I don't want to try Minder for free. If it's open source, where's my...
There's the GitHub on the bottom right.
Let's go there. There's Minder. Ooh, nice activity there. Okay, good. Homebrew. Okay, that's good to see. And then the other guy was just a service. But let's take a look at Minder. Apache 2. Good. And then, let's see, is there anything else here that jumps out at us? Auth login. It's interesting, gRPC. Why would you explicitly use gRPC over just using REST? And for something like this? Because you can?
Because you can.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. I couldn't think of any reason why that's makes a difference. So you can brew install it. You can run it, so you got to log in. And then quick start. I might play around with this some this weekend. This might show up on your list too, I think, at some point. Okay, anyway, Minder and Trusty from Stacklock.
Very cool.
I heard about these next two on the Changelog News podcast, which comes out on Mondays. SSHX. I'm going to say this very slowly so I don't say bad words. A secure web-based collaborative terminal. I wanted to try this out live, but we're going to have to do it like where we actually get it set up. So it allows you to share your terminal with anyone by a link on a multiplayer infinite canvas.
Okay. So it's kind of sharing screen without,
It's like Tmux on steroids-ish.
Exactly. Something like that, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
teaching, debugging, or cloud access. But the problem is you have to connect. It is peer-to-peer, but it still has to dial in somewhere initially to initiate things.
But here's the question. Are we sharing... am I sharing with others my terminal session running on my computer, or we all go remote?
You're sharing what's on your machine.
Nice. That works.
Yeah.
Because, if I would have to switch, I work on my terminal, I have to switch to something web and start over so that I can share
Yeah.
that wouldn't work. For me.
They are in browser, but you aren't.
Yeah. Nice.
So
That's
you
very
just run sshx. So the download is, I don't like this. So I looked at it. So I downloaded the script, right? So I got the script. And everything is out on, it's on S3. So the binaries for Windows, Mac, and Linux are all in S3. Which is fine, but it's already, it's fine, but it's hosted on GitHub. And there's no releases.
I wonder why it's not a GitHub release. Yes, exactly. Silly.
It's MIT, which is good. So you can go ahead and do all the things. But it looks cool. Plus, this was my twist. Now, this is the danger part to me. So they talk about using it inside of a pipeline. They're showing GitHub here specifically. So if you were to run...
that.
Huh?
I'm having trouble imagining that scenario. Okay, go on.
It
Maybe
opens
I'll
up a
figure it out.
terminal, print out your URL to where then you can connect in and basically remote into that container of what's going on. I don't like that.
I don't get it. Because,
Yeah.
I'm trying to... So, I wouldn't use that in my existing pipelines because I don't want every build to stop there, right? So, that would mean
it's not that you
creating
have
a
to
second
yeah.
workflow, right?
Yeah, it says here, be careful adding this to a public repository as any viewer can, or any user can view the logs of a CI job while it's running. I mean, I might try this just to see how it plays out, but
Not sure. Not
yeah,
sure.
and I don't
especially
like
what's the
this.
advantage? So that it saves me from
I don't know.
doing. I already have code on my laptop. I already have it on my terminal. Why would I'll skip the comments.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but hey.
Yeah, interesting. And then before I get to the next one, actually here, let me go and do this one. We'll come back over to, because I see some questions over in the comments. FX, it's a terminal JSON viewer and processor. So if you can see in the little section, which I can't really blow up anymore, you can navigate inside that. So it's JQ without JQ. It's JSON streaming, single binary, JavaScript processing, interactive JSON viewer. I haven't installed it yet. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it does. Now, I must say that, whenever I have the need to do something like that, something more than let's take a quick look at JSON, since I'm always in my Visual Studio Code IDE, I would already open it as a file, right?
Right.
Or
if it's local
to a file, right?
Right. But here's the key part here is JSON streaming. So I could actually pull something like I've been having to do some stuff with Jira. And in some certain Jira issues, it comes, it's, I pull back an issue, get issue, and that's large.
Yeah, streaming sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But for the other stuff, it's like, okay, that's, it's all nice there. So that's FX. Before we get to your videos, I'm going to take a look at Roman's question here. Let's do this. So there are 3 questions here. So we'll go through all 3 blocks here. Trouble wrapping my head around branching strategy for GitOps infra. With classic push, you just have main. Both GitOps, how does the promotion to prod happen? Okay, hang on a second. Kind of got a free pass to figure out Kubernetes best practices in a new org. Some Kubernetes, but not specifically GitOps. Fine. This is quite here. Another question would be about project structure. Do you envision infrastructure code? Okay. So this is your day job.
Sure.
So let's talk about that.
While speaking with other people who use GitOps in one way or another, I discovered that I'm in a relatively small minority how I organize things, so you might not want to listen to me. I really dislike the idea, even though everybody's doing it, of keeping application manifests anywhere outside of the application repo. So, whether it's a Helm chart, customized, this or that, to me, that must be in application repo simply because I need it while developing that application, or whomever is working with that application. It needs to be in an application repo. And that's nothing to do with GitOps, right? Now, when I add Argo CD to that story, or Flux for that matter, I have a separate repository, and that repository contains, let's say, Argo CD application manifest. That's it. That application manifest references the application repository that has all the real manifests, and potentially overwrites some values like, hey, I don't know, like host should be this for this environment. And then I have those same files, not the whole manifest, only Argo CD app file, multiplied by the number of environments, right? I don't know, let's say either directories or different repositories for production and this and that. Next, I don't use Argo CD or Flux for ephemeral environments anymore. I think it's a waste of time. So only for permanent environments. And finally, going back to the real question is, how do you do promotion? Excluding rare cases where you would change environment-specific parameter, which doesn't happen often. If this is the host, it's going to stay the host all the time. Anyways, excluding that case, my promotion process is, update the manifest in this repository, that directory, with the new tag that I just built, right? And then later, if you want to promote it from one environment to another, update the tag in the other file. That's it. That's all there is to it, in my case. You're muted.
Thank you. It's just like a Zoom meeting, isn't it? You're muted.
There we go.
The issue I have, I don't like directories. Okay, number one, I definitely don't like branches. Branches are cool, but then you've got weird. The good thing about branches is you're living in a single repository, and if you need to promote, that's easy to promote branch to branch. As long as you're going in a linear direction for promotion. You're going from dev to stage to prod, and that's the only way you're doing it. I'm not saying it's great, but it makes sense. My happy place is every environment gets its own repository. I don't like directories at all.
Yeah, I'm not religious about that one. Whether it's different directories or different repositories, I'm fine. But going back to branches, there are a couple of things there. First of all, if you think that you're going to promote Argo CD application that is right now, and I'm talking about application manifest, not the Argo CD app resource, not the resource of the. You cannot promote it by merging one branch to another, right? Because if you say, now this runs in staging, and I want to merge it to the master so that it runs in production, the host will be different. And I'm using host as an example, right? In staging, it's stagingmyapp.com, and in production, it's productionmyapp.com. So those are different files. You cannot just merge it and say, this is it, right? Assuming that you have environment-specific parameters in that file, as you should, I think. Second thing, in my head, and this is nothing to do with Argo CD, branches are something ephemeral by themselves, right? They're there only until we merge it to the mainline, and when we merge it to the mainline, that becomes production. And now, this is an important thing. In this context, for Argo CD or Flux, if you use it to manage something in a permanent environment like staging, that's production. Right? Kind of like that's the end goal of it, right? So in my head, it needs to get to the mainline. First, because it's not the same across environments. Second, because it is production. It is permanent. It's going to run in staging until, assuming that that's a permanent environment, until I change my mind.
If an environment is permanent and not ephemeral, it is production, no matter how you name it.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's see. He had another question here. By tag, did you mean container image tag or git tag? Not git tag, right?
Container image tag. Now,
Okay.
It could be by coincidence the same. That might give how you tag your images, but yes.
Right. Okay. Oh, interesting. Happy Friday. Really? Chris, Jacob, Alex, and Nick, thanks. We are rebroadcasting the show in our platform Teams room.
Oh,
that is
nice.
a great
Nice,
use
nice.
of corporate resources. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, let's finish up your videos for this past 3 weeks real quick.
Okay.
These 3 were different than what you've done in the past. So 3 weeks ago, you did this one, what to run in Kubernetes, the ultimate guide.
Yes.
I have a feeling you used some AI on that to help name it correctly.
So throughout the video, I was actually saying hard to pronounce sentence, which I don't remember how it goes exactly, but it goes along the lines, what to run in or manage by Kubernetes. That's what I'm really talking about, right? If it's literally what to run in, well, that's easy. Your applications managed as container images or WASM something or VMs, right? But it's run in or managed by. And then the answer is everything.
Okay. And then you talked about Crossplane, which sort of back to the day job.
Yeah, exactly. That's new release. That's probably one of the
function. Is functions new?
New as in it's beta, meaning that it's packaged now in Crossplane, right? Our strategy is that until it reaches beta and it has stable API, it's not part of Crossplane. You need to enable it specifically.
Got it. Okay. And then this week, music. What?
And this is very different. Yes. This video actually, I was invited to speak in actually the one I was in Switzerland a few days ago, right? Kind of. Can you speak in can you come and give a talk? Yeah, what should I talk about? And we brainstormed a couple of subjects, and it turned out to be something around how to organize ourselves and what to do with. It's a data type of conference, right? Anyways, I thought, hey, why don't I record a video on the same subject, similar subject? So
You mean get a
the
2 for
title will
1?
not reveal what it is. You need to watch it.
So basically, you were able to leverage and repurpose content. It's like, okay.
Yeah, so I'm changing the strategy, right? So because I cannot really create 7 different things every week. That's impossible for me.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not that good yet. So very often in the past, I would have a talk that is somehow related to something I did in the past. And whenever I do something in the past, that ends up being, among other things, a video, right? Now it's different. Now I submit random ideas there, and then after I talk, or just before I talk, I record the material and publish it as a video. It just goes the other way around. Same thing still.
Yeah, I want to go back to the comments here real quick. Watching videos, I'm mostly converted to running everything in Kubernetes, but I can't say I'm convinced on DB. I'm not either. Empty databases, maybe.
Here's the thing. Here's a question, right? To you, and forget about Kubernetes. This is to your Darius. Okay, stay there.
Okay. All right.
Doesn't matter whether we're talking Kubernetes or whatever we're talking, right? Do you think that database schema life cycle is tightly coupled with application, or should be completely separate?
In my opinion,
And
it should be
there is no wrong answer, right? Kind of, I can imagine a scenario in which both options are equally good.
Yeah.
Right?
In a high-performing organization, it should be separate.
Separate, okay?
Separate.
Then,
yeah.
then kind of, I have no strong feelings whether it should be Kubernetes or something else, right? Now, if it's coupled to application, you say, okay, I'm pushing now this release, right? And this release contains changes to my application and changes to the schema and what's not, right? Then it should be in the same package, whatever the package is. And if that package happens to be Helm, then you want it to be a Kubernetes resource, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's not a should be, it must be. It must be at that point.
It's much, to me, that's much more logical. Ignoring now technology, right? If you're not running Kubernetes, I would say the same for whatever other technology you're using, right? But hey, I push my application to production, however that process is, right? And if you're using Kubernetes, then you want it to be Kubernetes resource, simply because that's how I define everything related to application, right? And it's just a part of that definition. So that's why I'm convinced that it's good for cases where it's coupled to the life cycle of application, and that application is running in Kubernetes, not for all others.
Correct. And the way you would do that is using Atlas, not Mongo Atlas, but Atlas, right?
Yeah, exactly.
From
I mean, there are only 2 options I know of. That's Atlas and Schema Hero. Schema Hero was my favorite because it was the only one. Now it's not the only one, and it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I think, so the reason why I'm going at that is it's that tightly coupled. So what I'm saying is if you're able to decouple that, and you've got a service, well, that service that's wrapping the database, that is tightly coupled. And that goes by that, but you may have the world calling that service. I mean, that doesn't have to be, but this does.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends, how you organize yourself. So if I have a team that is doing application and they're in charge of that schema, you probably want it to be, again, together, right? If you're managing schema by a completely separate team, then whatever works for them,
Doesn't
right?
matter.
Kind of like, then there might not be a good reason to run it as a Kubernetes resource, right?
Because. Okay. And I'll agree with this. Last couple comments here. The moment you have data migration can only move forward. We wish that was always true. It should be that way. You should only move forward.
I mean, I don't even know how do you move back if data already enters a new schema. I don't know whether that's even possible and how to do it, right?
You would copy the columns and migrate the data over to the new column, and then the app uses the new columns. But the old columns with the old data is still there. That's the typical
Yeah,
way
as
of
long
doing
as
it. And it's
but
miserable.
That would, oh yeah, but that would mean that when you apply that new schema with the new column, your logic, business logic, is now doing the pushing to both columns, let's say, right? So that you have the option to roll back by destroying
Correct.
the schema. And then we can even argue kind of why did you create a new column in the first place, kind of,
Bingo.
stuff like
Bingo.
that. But yeah,
Which goes back
but if
to
you can
juicy
roll
topic.
back, go ahead. I just don't see it
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, it's, yeah. And this is a pretty good one too. Decoupling could also lead to Conway's Law, where devs manage the code and some other team manages the schemas. That's usually what happens
don't
in
like it.
real life. I don't like it, but that's usually what happens. In big places, it's
Exactly.
like you have a DBA group, and you put in your Jira tickets and your Word documents, and you say, go make it so. And then you hope it happens.
Yeah, I'm too tired to be judgmental today, but yeah.
I get it. I actually think we don't have any other items on the list today. Again, if you haven't voted for us yet on DevOps Dozen, we would greatly appreciate your vote. We will be back next week because in the States it is a holiday,
Oh, really? Which one?
Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving
next
is
week.
next Thursday and Friday, yeah. So Thanksgiving Day is Thursday. And then Black Friday, where you can start buying everything really cheap in theory, starts Friday or Thursday night, depending on
You
where
mean
you
when
live.
you can start buying things you don't need because they're cheap?
That's the reason why all the credit cards are under lock and key right now. And the only time I'm breaking anything out is when I go to the grocery store. That's it. I'm locking everything away.
I have a rule I established to enforce upon myself for Black Friday. Throughout the year, things that I'm not 100% sure I need right now, but I likely will buy, I put it in some kind of wish list, right? And then
Yep.
when Black Friday comes, I'm not
Run the
allowed,
list.
and this is self-imposed, to buy anything that I find interesting because it's Black Friday and it's not on that list, kind of like.
Right.
If I wasn't interested in that before Black Friday is going to be a waste of money because I did waste money.
Exactly. I am considering buying another Mac Studio on refurb. I don't need a big one, but if I can get another one, because I have a base one in my office, the originals, and the prices have dropped down to $1,400, I think. So it's
So
32
does
gig and
Black-
512.
Is
They won't
Apple
do that
doing
on Apple.
Black Friday?
No. Refurb though.
Yeah. But
So the original
I'm also
M1s.
buying one.
You haven't bought one yet, have you?
I'm buying it. No, I haven't. It's kind of I have a good machine here.
I know.
It's too noisy.
It's the Intel, right? Intel
It's
iMac.
Yeah, it's a beast. And I know Mac Studio will be much faster and stuff like that. But when you reach with the machine and say, I'm not sure I can imagine much faster. It will be. I know it will be. But anyways, I will probably buy it no matter whether I need it or not. But I will buy baseline model is 32 megs. I think that's more than enough.
32 gig, 512. The only thing is 512. Yeah, 512 or 5. Oh, good grief! I wish it was 512
That's
terabytes.
fine.
512
That's
gig,
fine.
which has been fine for me, and I think it'll be fun because it's actually going to come into the studio. So I might actually go one step up and take my office one in here, and then put the new one in the office. I just haven't decided yet, but that's where I'm leaning. And I'm thinking about getting a laptop, but I can't justify that. Like an Air or something, like just a baseline. Well, not baseline. I want more than 8 gig in my laptop. I want 16.
Why do you need a laptop? You don't travel anymore.
I know. I'm trying to justify that. Well, I do enough stuff out of the house every once in a while, just even around town, that it could be helpful. And my wife is.
Yeah.
We have like an old one of her. It's a 2018 something. It's got the bad butterfly keyboard on it. Too.
Airs are not expensive, I think.
And put two accounts on it because neither of us need it at the same time. So it's like I can justify getting one. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Is Black Friday a thing outside the U.S.? I don't know.
Yes.
Is it?
I mean, at least in
Is it?
Spain, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, come
Maybe
on,
not everywhere.
kind of world is global, same companies. So Amazon is everywhere. You think that Amazon is going to skip the opportunity to sell you stuff you don't need? They're not, right? And then once they start doing it in similar global companies, then local companies figure out, oh, Amazon is selling on Black Friday. I should do that as well. At least in Spain, it's a big thing now. It hasn't been maybe 5 years ago, but now it's a big thing.
Yeah, I probably won't. So I'm not rushing to buy the Mac, but I'm just like I'm looking and planning and try to because if I can because when did I buy these others? Was it 2 years ago? It was. I don't think it was last year.
Or less.
Maybe it was last year. I don't even remember anymore now.
Yeah.
Bottom line is neither one have. The reason why I need more in the studio is I need more video port or like monitor ports, and the Mac Mini only has 2, and I actually need 4. So Mac Studio, I got that. That'll take it easily.
Okay. Oh, look at you! You have 4 monitors. How many you have? I have 3. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I need 4 because of some weird routing that I'm wanting to do for next year. So the 4th would give me that ability, but I can't just do it with a Mac Mini. But having a Mac Mini is basically a Raspberry Pi because it's as expensive as the Raspberry Pis are becoming in comparison to what they used to be. And now you can get a Mac Mini for $500. And that's just my little, it does this one thing. I want it to do this one thing. And the Mac Studio can be the brains of the shop. But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe. Again, try not to spend any money. All right. So we'll be back next week. Thanks for being here with us live. If you're still with us live, go ahead and give us a thumbs up before you leave. We'd appreciate that. Watching us in Teams in a conference room. I'm sort of making that up, but Teams was there. That's a very interesting. I didn't even know you could feed stuff in. I figured Microsoft wouldn't allow Google products to come in that way, but hey, what do I know? Have you ever used Teams?
I mean, a couple of times when somebody invites me to a meeting and then they just have to send me a Teams link.
Teams,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, before I was in favor of one or the other. They're all the same. You click a link and then you appear on the screen, kind of like. I'm not sure that there is any significant difference anymore between Teams and Zoom and whatever is the Apple thingy. And
I actually tried to use the FaceTime with my daughter. It didn't work out so great. We ended up having to go to Zoom because I was doing screen shares and it just didn't work. I felt like a doofus. But it's great for the phone, just not great for desktop. Or at least it wasn't for us. Anyway, thanks everybody. We'll be back next week. If you're in the U.S., have a great Thanksgiving. If you're not in the U.S., have a great Thanksgiving anyway, just because you can. All right, we'll talk to you next Friday.